have to talk about the Tush Push, Nika.
No?
The Tush Push was in the news. Do you know what the Tush Push even is?
No? Well, yeah, I do now, but I didn't a couple hours ago.
All right. Well, I wanted to clip this little minute-long segment here. This was posted by the NFL on their YouTube channel last year, and it is a short explanation with Kyle Brandt and Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, everyone's favorite celebrity scientist since Bill Nye. And he's here to explain what the hell the Tush Push is. It's a play that the Philadelphia Eagles have basically made into their own secret weapon, right? Am I phrasing that correctly, Nika?
I think so.
Okay.
You want to hear it?
Let's hear from the wizard, Mr. Science, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Eagles at the goal line.
I don't know if I have a counter to it, but I can explain definitely why it works. When the Eagles line up for the Tush Push, everybody knows what's about to happen. Just pause for a moment right here. Just pause. The Eagles have the advantage because they're hiking. And no one on the Chiefs can move until after the Eagles move. And so the Eagles get like a quarter-second head start in momentum transfer, okay? So the Eagles are already in motion. They are using Earth as a launch point for their movement.
This is hilarious.
In fact, if you run the math on this, every time the Eagle runs this play, it slightly changes the rotation of the Earth.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Are you kidding me?
All right,
I'm
pause
just
this a
telling-
second. This is the most ridiculous. Do you think anyone that follows sports even understands what he's talking about at all right now? I mean, maybe 1% of the population.
Maybe. Yeah. It's just hilarious. Nobody's paying attention how the Earth moves so fast and how it's affecting you at the moment.
Well, as we know anything about basic levels of science, it's all give and take, right?
Of course.
You know, like
every action has a reaction.
Correct. And I think that's what we're getting into here.
Oh.
Even sticking your 3 fingers on the ground before the ball gets hiked. Now, the one thing I want to kind of give Neil deGrasse Tyson a little bit of crap here for is because he starts this whole explanation with the most obvious of answers, which is to say the offense has the advantage because they know when the ball is going to be hiked. And it's like, yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. No kidding.
Thanks for explaining that.
I mean, that's what offsides and false starts are for. And when it comes to penalties, I mean, this is like kind of 101 football we're talking about here. But thanks for stating the obvious up front that, I think the explanation he goes into is
It's fun.
it leads into that.
Yeah, I know, but you drag
maybe
into Earth,
leans
physics,
into that is a better
math.
way to say it. It leans into that. But all right, continue with the explanation because this is just bonkers.
Tell me more.
One of Newton's laws
Yes.
is for every action is an equal and opposite
Reaction.
You cannot just propel yourself forward unless something comes out the other side. As they are digging into the Earth, Earth is responding to them by having its rotation rate changed because they're bracing themselves against the rotating Earth. We don't think about it that way, but
Yes.
that's exactly
Nobody
what's
thinks
happening
about
here.
it.
That's where they get the traction.
We think about it that way now. That just blew my mind.
Okay.
not gonna
So
think
now,
about it that way.
if I'm on the opposing team, I want to jump over you because the quarterback is ready to come over. So I jump over you, and you know what happens if you jump over? You're no longer connected to the Earth.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah, that's it. And I think the main thing I wanted to get to here was that we know how to stop the Tush Push already. You got to stop jumping and disconnecting yourself from the Earth. The science wizard is telling you the answer. This was posted over a year ago, January 15th, 2024. This is before we had the Super Bowl this past year. So we already know how to stop the Tush Push. Why is this such a... Is it all really because they can move before the defense and they have the advantage over hike?
Or it doesn't matter what size is your tush.
Okay, well...
How's that affect everything?
This is the Tush Push, everybody. This is the play that the Eagles have mastered and taken over the NFL with, at least in short yardage and in goal line situations, because as you can see, this play isn't going to go very far. It can be successful at a high clip, at a high percentage when it's run, but it's not going to net you like 10, 15 yards even.
No, it always happens on the scrimmage line,
Correct.
the line of scrimmage.
So what happened? Apparently, some people around the league felt that this was not a fair play, and that it's not a fair play in the spirit of football.
Okay.
It's something that the Eagles are doing that should be illegal. And so the Green Bay Packers became the team of choice, I guess. I heard rumors that the NFL approached the Packers about this, but we'll never know.
Of course not.
However, the Green Bay Packers filed a motion in the offseason to ban this play from being run anymore. And this was all supposed to come at a vote on Thursday or Wednesday, maybe. I'm sorry, I got my days confused, but the vote was this week, and it shockingly went the other way. The Eagles got their way. They won the vote. And I found a story here in the Wall Street Journal, of all places, that was written so tongue-in-cheek that I couldn't help but clip it and share it with you guys here. It is written by Jason Gay, and this title says, "The NFL's war on butts is over. The Tush Push survives." The subheadline says, "A movement to outlaw the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles' beloved, if controversial, short yardage play fails to get the required votes." Nika, how the hell did this happen? We heard for weeks that this play was going to be banned for sure. And then it comes to a vote, and it doesn't happen. Can you flip to the next slide, please? And we will get into this story. It says, "Cooler butts have prevailed. What does it say about the reach and power of the NFL that America's most discussed lawmaking debate this week concerned not the House or Senate, but football's failed effort to prohibit the goofily named Tush Push? I guess it says the NFL is our king, which we already knew."
Duh.
And yeah, we know. And in this country, the NFL is the king of the sports world, and everyone else is playing catch up.
I got one for you. If the Congress had a Tush Push or something called Tush Push, people would tune in a lot more.
Yeah, maybe they need to name their bills differently.
Maybe.
We got the Tush Push bill. Oh, shit, what's that?
Exactly.
All right. As the article continues here, it says, "It must be maddening to hockey and basketball, both amid heated playoff semifinals, to turn on sports television and find its resident blabbermouths endlessly agog about a proposed rule change for a sport that doesn't resume playing real games until September." And before I continue, I just want to give note to the author here. Yes, blabbermouths endlessly agog is a perfect description of the establishment media in most of the sports realm. So kudos to you, sir, for that beautiful description.
Well, he is from Wall Street Journal. So.
Yeah, he is. We'll continue the article. "And look at me, the hypocrite, pecking out a whole column. Takes a good man in 2025 to call themselves out for their own hypocrisy, and bravo to you, sir. You didn't even wait to get that far into your article. What, 5th paragraph? Nice. All right. A 24-hour, quote, Tush Push news cycle in May as the Painters taunt, and shock the Knicks. Such is football's grip." And yeah, this was the number one story. It beat basketball and hockey in the midst of their own championships.
It just plays into the NFL being the king.
NFL is king. He's not wrong. All right. Well, let's get into a longer chunk here. It says, "The strangest aspect of the Tush Push discourse was that it impacted really only one team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and maybe the Buffalo Bills, who are also adept at the short yardage play, in which a group of players squashed together and shoved the ball carrier like they're trying to squeeze a Thanksgiving guest onto the last Amtrak home." I get the analogy, but it's not the best. I think there's better squeezing through tight hole situation analogies that we can use. Maybe a mouse on Thanksgiving trying to get back into its hidey hole or something. Who knows? The Bills push Tush, but the Eagles are the virtuosos. Plus, the reigning Super Bowl champions, which gave even the good faith aspects of the dialogue a whiff of sour grapes. It looked punitive, trying to strip the NFL's best team of its signature play. You couldn't even blame the Eagles for calling it the Tush Push. The preferred and charming local term is brotherly shove. From the town of brotherly love comes the
Brotherly
play,
shove?
the brotherly shove.
All right. I like the Tush Push better.
I do too. I think it's a better
Rolls
name.
the tongue better.
All right. Well, the article continues here. Opponents raised concerns about potential injuries, but it was hard to deny. Getting rid of the Tush Push would impact one team the most. If you can't beat them, ban them? Question mark. With a ban proposed by the Green Bay Packers, the legendary haunt of no excuse, no nonsense Vince Lombardi, what was football coming to? Philly did what Philly does, which is to argue everyone's out to get them, and in this case, it was mostly true. The Eagles summoned testimony from Hirsute ex-center Jason Kelsey, who reportedly told a room of NFL owners that if all he needed to do was join Tush Pushes, he'd rush back to the league in a jiff. When the votes came in, the yays didn't cross the goal line. 22 out of 32 team owners voted to ban the Tush Push, but they needed 24. The Tush Push escaped by 2 votes.
Wow.
Pretty crazy how that goes down. A headline from the Philadelphia Inquirer said it all. NFL owners shared disdain for the Eagles and Philly fans, but the Tush Push remains unstoppable. Perfect. So the defending champ Eagles get to do what they do, and opponents will be forced to do what they're supposed to do, which is figure it out. And I'm kind of with them on this. This is a legally designed play. Nobody lined up illegally. Nobody changed the rules of football to design this play. And it is up to now the defense
To figure it
to
out.
break it. You've had over a couple seasons now.
Also, the Tush Push is a newer addition.
It is newer, but it's not designed in an illegal way.
Right.
So,
How are the Bears with the Tush Push?
well, we're going to get into that
Okay.
before we get out of here. I promise you. But I did want to say here that we just heard from wizard scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson on how to stop the Tush Push. You got to stop jumping in the air, defense. You got to stop disconnecting yourself from the earth, because the Eagles are way connected to the earth while they're doing this, and you are not
Disconnected.
helping yourselves by jumping in the air.
They think they can overcome the earth by jumping.
And they're wrong.
They're wrong.
0 times out of 100, you're wrong.
Yeah.
We just heard wizard scientist Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Physics.
All right. Well, the article goes on. It seems unlikely the failed vote will trigger an epidemic of tush pushing. The play requires such commitment and strength, it's hard to imagine every team rushing to assemble its version. And then in parentheses, it says, the Eagles have a one-of-a-kind catalyst in Jalen Hurts, a quarterback who can squat a Buick. Yes. Apparently, Jalen Hurts can squat over 600 pounds or something ridiculous like that for a quarterback. And
What Buick is that?
I don't know. If there is a Buick that weighs 600 pounds, then I would love to see it, because it probably gets great gas mileage for a vehicle that's that light.
No kidding.
All right. Well, as we continue here, it says, as for the aesthetic argument that the tush push should have been banned because it is visually unpleasant, meh. Every Sunday, all of us watch somewhere between 6 to 14 inept NFL teams that are about as fun to watch as an industrial film about drain pipes, and everyone acts like that dreck is perfectly acceptable. I saw it firsthand last year in Chicago, everybody, especially after the first 6 games that the Bears played. Whew, that was ugly. You talk about a bad finish. All right, well, we have just a little bit more to get through here. It says, even worse, the league regularly exports these inept teams to other countries, like some PSYOPs mission to make foreigners stick to watching soccer. Again, the Bears did play in England last year, just as a reminder. The tush push is visually scarring? Please, tell it to a Jets fan. Ouch. Was that a knock on the looks of Jets fans, everybody?
Think so.
Wow. Well, okay. And spare a thought here for the rugby aficionados who have heard their beloved game repeatedly trashed by loudmouths comparing the tush push to a rugby, quote, scrum, while theatrically worrying it makes football look a little too much like rugby. The horror! Putting aside the obvious that North American football owes an obvious debt to rugby, and NFL teams routinely recruit players from the rugby world, let's get to the facts. A tush push does not resemble a scrum, but a maul. And if you think I confirmed that with a rugby player before typing that, you're right. Jason Gay is funny, everybody. All right, it says, in fact, if you're going to go on TV and deride the tush push for resembling rugby, the least you can do is have a rugby player on set just sitting in a broken nose and muddy shirt staring down the complainer. It's a rough game, rugby.
It is. And they play without so much gear the way football is played.
Yeah, they do. They do. And that is a picture, by the way, of a mall, in case you were wondering what a mall was from the article.
That looks like a tush push to me.
It looks very tush pushy, but more of like in a circle or a seance.
Yes, they do get into a circle. I watched
Okay.
few rugby games, so
All right. Okay, well, the article is about to end here. It says, the debate's over for now. The tush push lives. Viva the tush push. I wish I could say Wednesday's vote concludes the NFL's silly season, but I cannot make any promises. It's still early. Football rules the culture, and Aaron Rodgers is still out there unsigned. And I might add, speaking on Joe Rogan's podcast, everybody.
yeah, he just make his round.
Making the rounds.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you can see if you want to contact Jason Gay and tell him how funny this article was, because I thought it was funny. You can write him here at jason.gay@wsj.com, Wall Street Journal. The Eagles, though, were having some fun with this news on Wednesday, Nika. Look at this. On their YouTube channel, they post a video. The tush push lives on. Push on. 26 minutes of the tush push. Just 26 minutes straight of tush push. So if you need your off-season tush push fix, you know where to go. Just put this video on repeat and enjoy the show.
Perfect.
Trolling on the day that they did this, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we're going to go back and finish this segment with our guy, Ben Johnson, who in the same press conference where he had to vigorously defend Caleb Williams about the all big pre-draft fiasco, drama with whether or not he wanted to go to the Bears. Somebody actually asked him about actual football news regarding the tush push, and here's what Ben Johnson had to say about it. We'll hear the question first and then the answer.
Thoughts on the tush push? It's going to stick around. They've tried to, or a group of teams tried to overturn it. The vote did not pass.
Man, I tell you what, does it become an explosive play ever? Have you ever seen a tush push become an explosive play?
Did it become a first down or a touchdown?
Yeah, I like explosive play. I like big plays. So I'm not a big tush push guy myself.
Oh,
Thank you.
I love this guy.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
I
sure
heard
that was
that.
Mark Grody, by the way,
heard that
from
one.
WSCR, the score 670. Somebody whispers at the end, you can go back and rewind our podcast, and says, I love this guy. And yes, I'll echo the sentiment. I love Ben Johnson. I like having a well-spoken, confident coach in the Bears head coaching office, everybody. I'm not going to lie about that.
Okay.
As far as his answer on the tush push goes, I don't think it's in Ben Johnson's playbook. I don't think we're going to see the Bears. The Bears were one of the teams that voted against it. So
they don't use it.
They don't utilize it. They never have utilized it, and I don't see them developing it. I think the Bears are going to become more concerned with how to stop it, because if the Bears want to get to where they want to go to, they're going to have to go through the Eagles most likely.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that means you're
And the
probably going to have
Bills.
to stop this tush push at some point if you want to be successful.
So the Eagles and the Bills use tush push, and most likely the Bears will have to face either team.
Sure. I just want to say, I don't know if this is true or not, but I think there is a drop off to the way the Bills are able to run it or to the success level. But that doesn't mean that they don't try like the Eagles.
Well, they have another season. They might get better.
Well, if they can make the Super Bowl and finally beat the Chiefs for once, maybe we can get a Tush Push v. Tush Push matchup with the Bills and Eagles and see who has the better Tush Push.
Who's got bigger tushes?
Super Bowl 60, everybody. Let's get ready for it.
It's called Tush Push. All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach Johnson, for sharing your thoughts on the Tush Push with us and giving the Bears media a much-needed laugh. You know, I think they've been taking the life a little bit too seriously the last week or so with the Caleb Williams drama, and they needed some laugh and humor. So good job, Ben Johnson.